All right, so we're on the YouTube live feed. So for those who are tuning in, we will be starting at 7 o'clock. Oops. It looks like it's 7 o'clock. And I think we have everybody here, so we're ready to start, Adam, whenever you are.
Yep. Michelle, can you please go ahead and call roll?
Yes, Mr. Pahovich,
Here.
Mr. Dove, Mr. McNulty,
Here.
and Mr. Doherty.
Here.
We did receive an email notification that Mr. Todd Dove was not able to attend this evening, but we do have a quorum for the meeting.
All right, I'll do the swearing in of witnesses, and then Joe, I'll turn it over to you for the presentation. Anyone who intends to testify, please raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? State, I do.
I do.
I do.
And when it's your turn to offer testimony, please state your full name, address, and affirm that you have been sworn in. Anyone who intends to offer comments or testimony through the online chat room function also needs to be sworn in remotely. Before your initial comment, please type your name, address, and the words "I affirm" to indicate that you solemnly swear that your testimony that you are offering is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Also, just a comment for those wanting to have a comment tonight online, just for the sake of everybody's time. You know, if it's a redundant comment or something that someone's already stated, we understand, you know, the opposition and things that people's opinions, and we've received the email. So I just ask that, you know, we try to keep just to new comments and not be repetitive, so we can make sure that, you know, Michelle's getting us all the you know, comments that we need to hear, and not just repeating the same one. So we'd appreciate that in advance from everybody. All right, Joe.
Well, Adam, before Joe Thomas starts, we need to come back from recess for this application.
Yes. Do I have a vote to come back from recess regarding application ZON-20-01 North Farms Development?
I second.
Dennis, will you motion that, and then can I get a second?
I move that we come back to zoning application ZON-20-01.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. McNulty to come back from recess for zoning application zone-20-01, second by Mr. Doherty. Those voting, Mr. Bahavich,
Yes.
Mr. McNulty,
Yes.
and Mr. Doherty.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Joe. I understand you have a presentation. You can go ahead and start with that.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Joe Thomas, Metro Development, 470 Old Worthington Road, Western Ohio 43082, and I have been sworn in. Last meeting we held with the township, we came away with some instructions on how to proceed in the future, and just want to give the board a overlay of where we stand and where we were before. We did discuss or have additional conversations with the Delaware County Engineer's Office. Steve Cuckler and myself, as well as our engineer, proceeded to go up and meet with the County Engineer's Office, met with a group of individuals, Mike Love and Rob Riley, to talk about additional access points for this particular development. On North Road, we efforted and tried to get an additional access point on Shanahan Road, but the county engineer felt or determined that the turn lanes that would be affected by additional lane going into this development would not have enough room between North Road and the railroad tracks. So they declined to have an entrance at that location. However, we did propose a secondary entrance further on North Road, which is indicated on the site plan here before, where prior to this meeting with Delaware County Engineer, we were always showing just one adjacent entranceway that was opposing the existing North Farm entry. And now we're proposing 2 entry points to add to circulation through the development. And that circulation and roadway connection onto North Road was approved by the Delaware County Engineer's Office as a meaningful additional access point onto North Road. At the same meeting, Steve Clucker, myself, and our engineer spoke with the county engineer additionally about Shanahan Road improvements. If this particular proposal is approved by the township, we'll go into further negotiations with the county engineer on engineering plans, as well as construction timelines on improving Shanahan Road, which is a widening from the railroad tracks to the existing improvements at 23 and Shanahan Road. So this project will kick off those improvements at that location. We also held a meeting at North Farms in our development. We had a tent provided to us, as well as tables and chairs, and put out a broadcast for an area meeting with the residents of North Farms. We did have about 7 attendees, and we went over questions and comments that the neighbors had for us at the time. More of the questions kind of circulated around the school impact, as well as the impact on traffic. So just to go through, and I don't want to stretch this out because a lot of this stuff is redundant from last time. However, the site plan that's shown in front of you now shows what we had previously proposed as far as the North Farm entryway, and then this one also shows the additional entryway. Michelle, if you go to the next slide. This one is the sections that we had, what we proposed previously and what we're proposing now. And as you can see through all the different sections that we provided 1 through 5, they show that we have set our buildings back that were previously proposed closer to North Road and North Farm residents to the west of us. We have adjusted the site plan to gain in some areas a couple hundred feet additional that we were opposed to before. If you go to the regional plan, Michelle. This is just to give reference of where we are as far as a regional plan with the existing North Farms, our proposed development, and then of course Jennings Park, which is still proposed to go forward, and how that is accented or developed next to our particular site at the intersection of Shanahan and the railroad tracks. Michelle, if you just want to skip down a couple slides, because like I mentioned before, these are kind of redundant. Again, elevations of our community, floor plans of the different developments. And then interior photos. If you can go to the slide just after the school letter, if you want to jump ahead, Michelle. Next one. So we've been discussing a lot of impact as this development is proposed on the school district and the school district, in particular. And we did some research as it compares to the existing North Farms development as it stands right now. Just to give you kind of an overlay of how the North Farms current single family impacts the school district, which we currently have information from the schools that there's currently 183 students. They currently collect from the county, collects $1,439,313 currently in taxes. The tuition for those 183 students is approximately $2 million. The portion of what is property taxes that's allocated to the school revenue is roughly 69% of the actual tuition costs. So in that portion, the 69% of the $2 million, the school will be allocated $1,388,000 from property taxes. So the tuition's $2 million. What they get from that $2 million, they get roughly $4 million in property taxes. And then the property taxes that are collected, the $1,439,000, roughly 71.5% of that collected property taxes goes to the schools. So what the last column in red shows is there's a negative standpoint of the actual monies collected for taxes as opposed to the actual cost of tuition to what the cost to the schools are. So there is a negative $359,860 in just the existing North Farms as it stands today. Now jump ahead, if proposed development of the 144 multifamily homes goes forward, just to kind of show how the multifamily stacks up against single family homes when it comes to allocation of resources to the school district. The property tax in this development will be collected at $482,000 annually. There will be approximately 22 students with a tuition of $11,000 per student, which is $242,000. And then a portion of that revenue for the actual tuition, again, 69% of the $242,000 comes from property taxes. So that's $166,980. So 71.5% of the property taxes that's collected goes to the school district, which is $345,000. So there's actually a net gain by the school district for multifamily development in this area of $178,244. Now to propose going forward with single family homes on this particular site, being at a average rate of 1 student per household, which that would make up roughly a cost to the school district of $473,000 with a collected tax of $199,000. Again, 69% of the school revenue comes from property taxes, so they would need $326,000. The distribution of this particular site, if it's single family, would have a distribution of $142,000 to the school district, and then that would be a deficit to the school at roughly $183,651. So just wanted to give an overlay of where this net positive benefit is from a single family versus a multifamily goes forward on a North Farms development as proposed. So that's essentially what we have this evening for you guys as far as our updates. As far as the development goes, the additional slides are, again, the traffic studies that we performed and approved by the county with the property being developed at 144 multifamily units. So we're really looking forward to questions or comments that may have. Again, you know, we've been trying to work consistently with the neighbors. We really haven't not come to any kind of consensus on what we can go forward with a multifamily development. We've consistently been adjusting our property as it is opposed to the neighbors across the street, you know, adding additional distance between the buildings, add additional mounding, additional screening. We believe that the additional driveway or additional street connections in North Road will add additional circulation, so there won't be a consistent, basically a tie-up of the North Farm entry point. So there'll be some adjacent driveway for our residents to enter and exit that won't compete directly with the existing North Farm development at that entry on North Road. We're willing to, you know, consistently develop this site in Delaware County, and it adds a net benefit to the school district. We're willing to put our money into area improvements, which is Shanahan Road. And we're willing to also not only put our money, but we would be willing to construct those improvements working with Berlin, Orange Township, and Delaware County. So I appreciate your guys' time this evening. We believe that, you know, this is a very low impact development as multifamily goes with the proposed densities. So I look forward to any questions or comments you may have about this development. Thank you very much.
Well, first of all, I'll tell you what, I love what you did with the roads with Delaware County engineer. I think that the two entrances, exits on North Road are much better than anything on Shanahan, because that was going to be a left turn nightmare. So I think this is a huge improvement. I also like the fact that you moved everything back. I think you've done a great job. And if all the trees and the landscaping goes in as on the drawing, it'll be beautiful. And I think it will work very well. I also think it's one of the best uses of this property next to the railroad tracks, and also with respect to Jennings Fields across. I think this would have been a very difficult sell for any kind of higher end or even medium quality single family homes in Orange Township. So I certainly appreciate all of the work you've done. I think the improvements are absolutely excellent as you've adjusted this as you've gone along. Thank you very much. Good work.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Michelle, are we, I guess we could turn it to public comments if we're receiving any at this time.
Yes, I think we are receiving a few, so we can open that if you'd like. I know some residents were concerned on not being contacted necessarily for the outreach or the in-person meeting that you had. There are some individuals that chose not to go to the meeting. I guess, were you able to notify all the North Farms residents, Joe?
Yes, we of course took your list, Michelle, that you had contact names for and emails, and emailed every individual on that list, as well as we contacted the area association, which is SOCIA, and put all the information not only for the North Farm residents, but the Weeping Rock residents on their information blast, which is called Town Square. And that Town Square is what the ability for each resident to get updates, you know, from a newsletter to area concerns or any type of update on their management, or financials or anything of that nature. So we thought the best use of resources was those two different venues. So first we contacted the list that you gave us directly, and then we also put it to a broader announcement for the meeting at North Farms. And of course, we not only sent it out once, but we sent it out a couple times, reminding people of the meeting date and time. You know, the tent was out there for a few days prior to, so it was pretty pronounced about the meeting location. And we did have residents attend. So, you know, and I'm not, you know, saying that we can't hold additional meetings at all with area residents. You know, we've been developing in Orange Township as well as Delaware County for some years, and we have a long-standing history of developing well and developing in the area. You know, I'm not, you know, I can be available at any moment to go to someone's house if necessary to explain. You know, it's one of those things that anybody's comfortable meeting myself at any time at their house, or they can come to our office for additional discussions.
Well, I appreciate that, Joe. I think we just wanted to clarify that for the record, so thank you.
Sure.
Oh, let's see. I know there's a couple, you know, I'm trying not to state any of the repetitive comments, but you know, the continuous one is that this number counts for the school district, that there are individuals that are still having concerns with that.
Michelle, this is Steve Kuckler. I sorry to interrupt, Mr. Chair. Mark Rafe, the superintendent of Olentangy, I believe is on the Zoom call and might be able to address at least some of those high level questions that some of the folks have.
That'd be great.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for inviting me. And you know, it's
Hey, Mark, can you state your name and address, please, before?
Yeah, sorry. Mark Rafe. I am actually an Orange Township resident, 5876 Bluestone Way, Lewis Center, 43035. I did swear in, but I'm not sure it was heard because I may have been muted. So I apologize, but I rose my hand there.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
And so just, you know, I get brought into a lot of these zoning conversations. Obviously the impact on the schools is something that we're always mindful of. The impact of any type of development and whether or not it has a negative or positive impact on our school district. It usually centers around the discussion when there are multifamily developments, because the perception is that the multifamily developments have significantly larger portions of school-age children than single-family developments, and the reality is it's just not true. Our yield from the vast majority of multifamily developments, or from all the multifamily developments, is significantly lower than our single-family developments. Through a public records request, I did provide information to Joe and Steve regarding what our typical yields are. We publish that information frequently as we're working with our development committee on planning for future school needs. So during the last school operating levy cycle, I actually did an analysis of every single multifamily housing development in our district and the yield that comes from that multifamily development and the tax yield. And by and large, the multifamily developments, especially the newer ones that are coming online that are significantly higher value, yield more tax dollars per student than the single family developments. It's just because it's an easy example. 801 Polaris at Lewis Center, our old state in Polaris there, has and it's a different development than what Joe is proposing here, but it's a development that yields 8 students, and we get about $500,000 in property taxes from that development. So that's $40,000 per student. The average single family resident priced at about $360,000 yields about $6,500 per student. So, you know, it takes the average resident about 23 years to live in their home to pay for the education of one child for us at $11,000 per pupil, which is still significantly lower than any district that's like us in Central Ohio. So the reality is that unless the ground stays barren with no development on it, the financial impact to the district of the proposed development, the development proposed by Metro, is better for us than if it were 43 single-family homes. We would get more tax revenue per pupil coming out of that. And again, by and large, what the typical apartment or multifamily complex in our district, our starter residences for our residents. They may have young children, maybe not school age, they may be younger school age, but by the time they get into 4th, 5th grade, middle school, high school, they're moving into a single family home. So the reason people are moving into these developments obviously is for our school district, just like the people moving into single family homes. So, we've worked with Metro, just recently worked with Metro on a project in Berlin Township. They donated the land for our 16th elementary school. So we are appreciative of the work they do. I did testify for the Berlin Township trustees, and my only experience with Metro is that if they say they're going to do something, they do it, and they do it right. I actually live in Olentangy Crossing by Olentangy High School and Kroger and Lewis Center, which is a Metro development, and I'm very happy with the product. So, I concur with the financial information that they put on the table for you regarding the impact on the schools.
All right, thanks, Mark. Was there anything else, Michelle, that wasn't repetitive from the public side of things?
Not really. I mean, most of the residents' concerns are it's pretty much it's all concerns for the development. They wish it was single family homes. They're concerned about the students, the school district. Traffic is a concern. So it's nothing new. And I just would like to reiterate to those who are tuning in that if we're not able to address some of the concerns that you had, they were addressed in prior hearings, and those are still on our YouTube channel that you can watch. Also, I'd like to share that these comments that are being submitted on the YouTube chat, if we're not addressing them fully to this evening, I will be passing all of these along to the Board of Trustees, as that's the next step for this application.
Okay. Dustin, did you have anything, or was there any comments you had for the changes?
No, I like the layout. I like the way they positioned it with the 2 access drives and the tie-in to the south, the multi-purpose trail that's being proposed along the roadway and the interior. I agree with the previous comments. I don't have anything further.
Okay. Joe and Steve, I would say, if this moves forward, I get the reasoning for the second entrance there, and the roadway or access that you added. I certainly think that will help for overall circulation and everything onto the property. One thing I do have in regards to that, though, is, I'm not sure if it's even a possibility or not, but you have the parking garage at the end of that. So, where you had to break that landscape and mounding, like, kind of buffer there, you're now having a visibility straight to garage doors. It would be appreciated. It's not obviously a code issue, but it would be appreciated if you were to maybe shift those out of that sight line, so you kind of have that visualization to the patio gathering space and more of that green space area, because there's kind of this sight line that goes straight through there that seems to be disrupted by 2 garages. So that's just one thing I guess I would say in regards to the revisions that you guys have completed since our last meeting. Just something to take into consideration.
Joe Thomas again, Adam. I appreciate your comment. honestly just picked up on that. So that was a very good, keen eye as far as that aspect of coming in off that driveway right into a set of garage doors. And I concur that it be much better use of the property as far as the sight line to keep that sight line into the green area rather than into the garage building. So we will address that immediately prior to the next meeting.
Adam, just so I understand, because we can always add this as a stipulation for additional screening.
Yeah,
What-
so right there, Michelle.
Oh, this one?
No, go further south. So right there where they added that second entry, right there where it says proposed 8-foot multi-use path. Yep. So right there. So as you would come into that entry, you'd be driving directly. There'd be I guess a sight line directly into 6 garage doors or 9 or how I forget how many 6-car garage I think it is. So
Okay.
my comment was just if those garages on either side could be shifted either north or south into those parking fields to maintain, what was there before, this kind of, visibility of just like the landscaping and, not looking directly at a garage. Does that make sense, Michelle?
No, it does. I'm just trying to think how we can address this now if we're moving forward with the recommendation. Is the applicant okay to, I'm trying to think of the language here. I don't want to say eliminate, but reduce the sight line distance of the garage doors.
I guess if it's okay with you, Michelle, maybe we say something along the lines to either relocate proposed 6-car garage enclosed garages to outside of the visibility line of that access, the new access that was added, something to that effect. And it sounds like Joe's okay with that, and he's willing to move those.
Yes. Joe Thomas again, correct. We will find a separate location. And just to be more clear, we will not have parking in that area as well. So the sight line will be directly into the green area as opposed to the parking, as a backside of a parking field. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Joe, with that second entrance, do we still need, is the fire department still requiring that emergency access drive and the turnaround down there on the, I guess, south side of the property going into that single family? Is that correct?
Well, that's a great question, Adam, because, our concern is that it will interfere with the single family access point. We can leave that contingent upon the final review of engineering plans by Orange Township Fire Department if that's absolutely necessary. We usually abide by their recommendations even after the zoning has been completed and there's additional recommendations by the fire department. We were just concerned, and personally, we do not need it with the 2 access points on North Road on this proposed development. But my concern was with the single family as it's, currently being constructed, will they need additional access point in the future for if there is an entryway problem at their current location? So that's why it's there.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess if there's nothing else, Michelle, from either the public or the board, we don't need to run through any of these letters, correct, Michelle? There's nothing.
No, well, I'll just reiterate that, all the emails and letters that we received from the residents were forwarded on to the zoning commission members and trustees.
Okay.
But I will say, well, I guess depending on what way of the recommendation we're moving forward with, I'd like to visit the stipulation so I understand, at least for I like the garage, if we are relocating the garages, to have some language in the recommendation so we know what to expect once it gets to the trustee hearing.
Yeah. Well, I guess, I mean, if you want, do we want to run through the stipulations now?
So yes, if the commission does decide to make a recommendation of approval, we have drafted a list of 4 stipulations. I'm working on the 5th one now. And I believe these 4 stipulations here were clarified and corrected between our council and the applicant's council. So I believe everybody is on the same page, but please, at least for the applicant's sake, let us know.
Yeah, Michelle, this is Jill Tangeman. On at least the last stipulations that we reviewed, I think that Joe sent to me around maybe 6:45, those were acceptable.
And this is that version here.
Okay.
And Adam, can you help me with the language on this? So to relocate garage.
Yeah. I guess we could say relocate the 2, garage structures directly visible from the second entry, or the southernmost entry portion, I guess, or of the lot.
Visible to entry. Just trying to think to eliminate directly visible to, I guess I could just say that. Visible. Is that language on the 5th stipulation, is that acceptable to the applicant?
Michelle, you may want to just state the southern entry.
Okay, thank you.
Acceptable to the applicant.
All right.
Okay.
Adam, I'm sorry, before we move forward with the recommendations, I'm just going through the comments again. There's strong opposition for the application amongst most of the residents, if not all of them that have been submitting on the chat room. But I'd ask the chair to at least close the public comment now to move forward with the recommendation.
Yeah, we can close the public comment.
Thank you.
All right, so can I get a recommendation for conditional approval of zoning application ZON-20-01 of North Farms Development LLC with the stipulations?
Motion by Mr. McNulty to recommend to the Board of Township Trustees, the board, the conditional approval of zoning application ZON-20-01 of North Farms Development LLC, the property owner requesting the rezoning of 25.4 plus or minus acres from farm residential -1 FR1 to a multifamily planned residential district MFPRD. Upon finding that it is in the interest of public convenience, comfort, prosperity, or general welfare, and is sufficiently in accordance with the comprehensive plan. The version of the application to be approved consists of those materials submitted by the applicant in a hard copy binder titled The Reserve at North Farms. the pages of which are each stamped, received with Orange Township zoning above, and August 17, 2020 superimposed by Orange Township zoning, collectively the development plan, as modified by the stipulations listed for correction, modification in the statement of stipulations attached hereto as attachment A and incorporated herein by reference, all of which stipulations have been agreed to by the owner applicant. Further move that this recommendation is conditioned upon the applicant's submittal of a final revision of the development plan reflecting compliance with all items set forth in the statement of stipulations prior to the consideration of this application by the board. And if that submittal does not fully comply with the same, the recommendation of the zoning commission is denial of zoning application ZON-20-01 of North Farms Development LLC. Further move that the zoning secretary shall certify a copy of this resolution to the board.
Second,
Mr. President, this is Joe Durham,
Oh, yes, Joe.
legal counsel. I just want to say that maybe the resolution needs to be amended from farm residential FR1 in that first sentence to, as the applicant has submitted it, multifamily residential plan district. I'm sorry, the single family
Okay.
planned residential district. Sorry, I didn't catch that earlier.
Dennis, you don't have to restate this all the time, but can you, before, just for the record, can you just restate this one part?
Sure.
Oh.
Sure, no problem. Motion by Mr. McNulty to recommend to the Board of Township Trustees, the board, the conditional approval of zoning application ZON-20-01 of North Farms Development LLC, the property owner requesting the rezoning of 25.4 plus or minus acres from single-family planned residential district, SFPRD, to a multifamily planned residential district, MFPRD. Upon finding that it is in the interest of public convenience, comfort, prosperity, or general welfare, and is sufficiently in accordance with the comprehensive plan.
Thank you. So that was just making the correction of the motion that you made fully. And then, Mr. Doherty, do you still second that?
yes.
Okay. So motion made by Mr. McNulty to recommend conditional approval of zoning application number ZON-20-01 of North Farms Development with stipulations stated and agreed by the applicant. Second by Mr. Doherty. Those voting, Mr. Pahovich?
Yeah, just real quick, Michelle, Joe and Steve, I just want to say I appreciate your guys's, thoroughness and determination in this entire process. You guys have certainly been very flexible in the sense of addressing anything that the board has, and as well as, some of the residents, addressing their concerns and making those changes as you guys, throughout this process. I would say that just briefly, I'm familiar with your types of properties and you guys do a great job. And, I have no concerns of the quality or anything like that of your, properties that I have seen. But that all being said, with the amount of opposition that we're facing from the single family, as well as, our comprehensive plan of this being single family, for this particular property, I'm going to have to vote no.
Thank you. Mr. McNulty
Yes,
and Mr. Doherty.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. I will say, just for the residents' concern, I know our zoning officer is going to be responding in this chat room, but just for procedural, we always do draft a recommendation of approval and a recommendation of denial. The commission just chose to move forward with the recommendation of approval this evening. And the motion carries, and that's all I have for the board this evening.
All right.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
All right,
forward to
thank
con-
you.
Yeah, look forward to continuing to work with you. Absolutely.
Yes, and continue, hopefully, having some more communication with the residents too, as it has to go to the trustees for a hearing.
Absolutely. Always open.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess meeting's adjourned then.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Thank you.